Gaur Hare Krishna. Bhagavatam 4:7-28. Devotees, preachers are the greatest well-wishers of living entities. Persons who are not in Krishna consciousness are living a very precarious life. But all these circumstantial conditions are due to forgetfulness of Krishna. The Krishna consciousness movement is meant to give relief to all these bewildered and distressed persons. Therefore, it is the greatest relief work for all human society. And the workers thereof are the greatest well-wishers, for they follow in the footsteps of Lord Chaitanya, who is the greatest friend to all living entities. So, coming to know that Krishna is the Surit, the dearmost friend of every living entity, is absolutely necessary if one actually wants to do good for others. We can't be a friend to anyone because real friendship means to save one from repeated birth, death, disease, and old age, and to reinstate one in one's original constitutional position as a servant of Krishna. And especially in this age of Kali Yuga, where everything is so bad, manda sumanda matayo, we need a really good friend to rescue us. So this is very nicely said here in climactic conclusion. Lord Chaitanya, who is the greatest friend of all living entities. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Divinity and Divine Service. Canto 1, Chapter 2, Verse 22. Ata Vai Kavaya Nityam Bhaktim Paramaya Muda Vasudeve Bhagavati Kurvanti Atma Prasadanim Ato vai kavayo nityam Bhaktim paramaya muda Vasudeve Bhagavati Kurvanti Atma Prasadinam Tanim. Please chant.
Ato vai kavayo nityam Bhaktim paramaya muda Vasudeve Bhagavati Kurvantyatma prasadanim. Ato vai kavayo nityam Bhaktim paramaya muda Vasudeve Bhagavati Kurvantyatma prasadanim.
Ato vai kavayo nityam Bhaktim paramaya muda Vasudeve Bhagavati Kurvantyatma prasadanim.
Ato vai kavayo nityam Bhaktim paramaya muda वासुदेवे भगवती
वासुदेवे भगवती
कुर्वन्त्यात्मा प्रसादनीम्
प्रसादनीम्
तोय कवयो नित्यम् भक्तिं परमया बुधा वासुदेवे भगवती कुर्वन्त्यात्मा प्रसादनीम्
Ato, ata, therefore, vai, certainly, kavaya, all transcendentalists, nityam, from time immemorial, bhaktim, service unto the Lord, paramaya, supreme, mudha, with great delight, Vasudeve, Shri Krishna, Bhagavati, the personality of Godhead, Kurvanti, do render, Atma, self, Prasadanim, that which enlivens. Certainly, therefore, since time immemorial, all transcendentalists have been rendering devotional service to Lord Krishna, the personality of Godhead, with great delight, because such devotional service is enlivening to the self. Please repeat. Certainly, therefore, since time immemorial, all transcendentalists have been rendering devotional service to Lord Krishna, the personality of Godhead, with great delight, because such devotional service is enlivening to the self. Purport by ISKCON's founder Acharya, Śrīla Prabhupada. The speciality of devotional service unto the personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna, is specifically mentioned herein. Lord Sri Krishna is the Swayam Roop personality of Godhead and all other forms of Godhead, beginning from Sri Baladev, Sankarshan, Vasudev, Aniruddha, Pradyumna, and Narayan, and extending to the Purusha avatars, Guna avatars, Leela avatars, Yuga avatars, and many other thousands of manifestations of the personality of Godhead are Lord Sri Krishna's plenary portions and integrated parts. The living entities are separated parts and parcels of the personality of Godhead. Therefore, Lord Sri Krishna is the original form of Godhead, and he is the last word in the Transcendence. Thus, he is more attractive to the higher Transcendentalists who participate in the eternal pastimes of the Lord. In forms of the personality of Godhead other than Sri Krishna and Baladev, there is no facility for intimate personal contact as in the transcendental pastimes of the Lord at Brajabhumi. The transcendental pastimes of Lord Sri Krishna are not newly accepted as argued by some less intelligent persons. His pastimes are eternal and are manifested in due course once in a day of Brahma as the sun rises on the eastern horizon at the end of every 24 hours. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jananjana Shalakaya Chakshurnitam Jena. That's by Sri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Mano Vishnam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadanti Gam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagratam Sahagana Raganatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Deva Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lita Shri Vishaka Vitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Jayatam Surato Pangur Mama Manda Matergati Matsar Vasva Padambo Jo Radha Madana Mohano Dibyad Vrindaranya Kalpadrumada Śrīmad Ratnagara Sringhasanasto Śrīmad Radha Śrīla Govinda Devo Vestalabi Savyamano Smarami Shriman Rasa Rasarambi Bamsi Bhattatatasti Taha Karshan Menu Svanar Gopir Gopinatha Shriye Stuna Taptakan Shanagorangi Radhe Brindavaneshvari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpadrubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram Hare Hare. Ato vai kavayo nityam bhaktim paramaya muda vasudeve bhagavati kurvanti atma sadhanim. Certainly, therefore, since time immemorial, all transcendentalists have been rendering devotional service to Lord Krishna, the personality of Godhead, with great delight, because such devotional service is enlivening to the self. This is a climatic and conclusive summary statement by Sutta Goswami. Thus far for this entire chapter, since a few verses ago, verse 18, where the standard invocation prayer to speak the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, or no, in glorification of the Bhagavatam, which is standardly spoken before classes, Nastapareshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naishtiki. By regularly attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam, all that is, and rendering service to the pure devotees, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. And so verse 19, 20, and 21, these three verses, all related with each other. As soon as irrevocable loving service is established in the heart, the effective natures, modes of passion and ignorance, such as lust, desire, and hankering, disappear from the heart. Then the devotee is established in goodness, and he becomes completely happy. Thus established in the mode of unalloyed goodness, the man whose mind has been enlivened by contact with devotional service to the Lord gains positive scientific knowledge of the personality of Godhead in the stage of liberation from all material association. Thus the knot in the heart is pierced, and all misgivings are cut to pieces. The chain of fruit of action is terminated when one sees the self as master. So all of this is very well and good. These three verses give a detailed, scientific, and powerful description of what Lord Chaitanya says in his first one of Shishastakam, Chaito Darpana Marjanam Bhava Mahadevagni Nivarpanam. Simply stated that the primary and topmost method of rendering pure devotional service at all times, and especially in this age of Kali Yuga, and even more so in Kali Yuga, the only type of devotional service that can help us at all, the chanting of the holy names, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Lord Chaitanya wishes that there be all victory to this process because it can do just as we are hearing. Cleanse the heart of all the dust accumulated for years. What does that sound?
Mix.
That loud?
Yeah, Krishna.
It's all right. So these three verses, 19, 20, 21, are describing the process of purification. So just like, boy, oh boy, what is that?
Mixing. I think that's the wheat meal thing. It's pretty hardcore.
Boy, oh boy. The Vanaprastha is recommended by Krishna in the Uddhava Gita to take the unhusked grains from the field and use their teeth to grind them down. So it wouldn't have mixers like that, or choppers, or pulverizers, or whatever they are. So just like we take a bath in the morning, what do we do when we take a bath? After we take a bath, do we go back to sleep? We come to Mangalartik and chant our rounds. So after terminating the chain of fruit of reaction, and then you see yourself as master, now I'm clean, what do? That's what today's verse says. They render devotional service, and how do they do that? With great delight, not begrudgingly, not casually, not haphazardly, not begrudgingly, but with great delight. Great delight means nobody has to tell you to do it. Nobody has to force you to do it. Nobody has to drag you to do it. You're like spontaneously in ecstatic love doing it. And why? Because such devotional service is an enlivening to the self. Now, today's purport is very interesting because it is a thorough analyzation of the topmost position of Lord Sri Krishna. He is the Svayam Roop. Svayam Roop means the original form of Godhead. Svayam Roop Bhagavan. And all other forms of Godhead, beginning from Sri Baladev, Sankarshan, Vasudev, Aniruddha, Pradyumna, it's the Chatur Vyuha, and Narayan, and extending to and all the different Avatars, the main categories are listed: Purusha, Guna, Lila, Yuga, avatars, and many other thousands of manifestations of the personality of Godhead are Lord Sri Krishna's plenary portions and integrated parts. So this is why it is enlivening to the self, and why one with great delight this statement: the living entities are separated parts and parcels of the personality of Godhead. Therefore, Lord Sri Krishna is the original form of Godhead, and he is the last word in the Transcendence. So this is a very important point. Thus, he is more attractive to the higher transcendentalists who participate in the eternal pastimes of the Lord in the forms of the personality of Godhead. Other than Sri Krishna and Baladev, there is no facility for intimate personal contact in the transcendental pastimes of the Lord at Brajabhumi. So this is a very sweet and beautiful glorification and definition of the Lord's most confidential devotees, the gopis, cowherd boys, Mother Yashoda, Nanda Maharaj, the cows, the calves, trees, birds, River Yamuna, and all the pure devotees of Vrindavan, that they are higher transcendentalists. Just like the Yajnik Brahmins, they misunderstood and disrespected Krishna's cowherd boyfriends, his Sakira-situated devotees, and what to speak of Krishna and Balaram themselves, by doing what we hardly ever see happen: people ignoring us when we go to beg them, when we go to try to ask them to engage in devotional service. You know, most people, like 99.9%, oh yes, thank you for this wonderful opportunity, and here's all my money, and I'm sorry I can't give more, with tears in my eyes, please forgive me, you know, thank you so much for... That's the normal reaction that we get, right? That the cowherd boys, they hinted, you can read in the Krishna book, Delivering the Wise of the Vedic, of the Yajnik Brahmins, that because of their association and service to Krishna and Balaram, they knew all the intricacies of Vedic yajnas, and they were in a position to instruct these Brahmins, and that their request should not be refused. Without even saying yes or no, they completely ignored the boys. It's actually understanding the Lord's dealings and relationships with his devotees in Vrindavan is the culmination, Prabhupada says in one place, of the entire Vedic adventure. There is one chapter in the 11th canto called Lord Krishna's Explanation of the Vedic Path. And there's a very detailed description of people utilizing Vedic sounds, which are very deep and unfathomable, for all different varieties of mixed material motivations. But the actual conclusion of hearing Vedic sounds culminates in rendering pure devotional service. So therefore, Krishna says, this is the most confidential part of knowledge in Bhagavad Gita, Uddhava Gita, and practically wherever the Lord speaks directly about himself, that the most confidential knowledge is to surrender unto me fully and become my devotee. And Prabhupada is talking to some disciple of I didn't get the name, some famous leader and spiritual person in India. This is in Bombay in January 1977. So Krishna is ordering, It's very easy to do. Bow down, offer obeisances. Anyone can do it. A child can do it. Why can't you do it?
Oh. Saying that to the leader?
To the disciple. So this is something that we should keep in mind. There is no facility for intimate personal contact as in the transcendental pastimes of the Lord at Brajabhumi. We see in the exaltations, speeches of such a great personality as Prabodhananda Saraswati, who wrote the Vrindavan Mahimamrita. He would rather be a insect in Vrindavan than be a Lord Brahma or even a one of the Lord's queens at Dwarka. How great is the facility to live in Vrindavan, and because everyone in Vrindavan is a devotee. So Krishna, he describes in Bhagavad Gita, Yancha Rudrani Mayaya, that this body is a machine made of material nature. Very important part of getting completely free from the bodily conception of life is to transcend thinking oneself in terms of this human body and its senses, these eyes, these ears. That's why Rishikesh Sevana Bhaktir Uchite, we engage this human body and its senses, and practically speaking, all that this human body is all about, its propensities and desires, in rendering favorable devotional service to the Lord. And then we can come gradually to understand the super excellent position of all the different facilities of rendering devotional service in Vrindavan. I believe it's in one of the purports of Upadeshamrita, I'm not exactly sure, that one can have the desire to serve Krishna just like the river Yamuna, water. One can be a tree. We think be a tree. Here we are trees. Stand up 5,000 years in the freezing cold and the blasting heat, hot sun. I don't want to be a tree. But a tree in Vrindavan, any form of life in Vrindavan is unlimitedly superior to the so-called corresponding form of the same in this world. So we think that this human body is so great and so special, but it's very, very, very limited what you can do and experience with this material body, even though it's a so-called human body. So that Krishna, the beautiful bluish boy with peacock feather in his hair, and playing on the flute and reveling in pastimes of love, this is the original form of Godhead, and his pastimes are the summation of all desirable experience and pleasure. Krishna, the reservoir of pleasure. There is no facility in forms of Godhead other than Krishna and Baladev, or Krishna and Balaram. There is no facility for intimate personal contact as in the transcendental pastimes of the Lord at Brajabhumi. The transcendental pastimes of Lord Sri Krishna are not newly accepted as argued by some less intelligent persons. Those are impersonalists who, at the core of their being, are simply envious rascals. His pastimes are eternal and are manifested in due course once in a day of Brahmaji, as the sun rises on the eastern horizon at the end of every 24 hours. So now what will follow is a discussion by Sutta Goswami how the personality of Godhead is manifest or indirectly associated with the lower modes of nature, And but ultimately, human beings can derive the ultimate benefit from Vishnu, or those qualities that are directly associated with Vishnu in the higher modes of nature, particularly goodness. More or less debunking the idea that one can worship demigods and achieve, what to speak of the same result, receive any type of tangible, lasting benefit. So this is why it's very important that devotees always strive to develop Kevala Bhakti, because Bhakti mixed with any other lower desire, of which three categories sum up the whole thing: karma, jnana, and yoga, Mishra Bhakti. This will not guarantee one complete success. And more or less, it will mean you will continue the process of repeated birth, death, disease, and old age by accepting another material body. Any questions or comments?
Here in the verse, it is stated that all transcendentalists have been rendering devotional service unto Krishna. And translation to the word kavaya is also given all transcendentalists. However, in Canto 2, chapter 2, verse 17, in the purport, Prabhupada writes that transcendentalists are of two types, namely the impersonalists and the devotees. For the impersonalists, the ultimate goal of the destination is Brahmajyoti, the spiritual sky, but for the devotees, the ultimate goal is the Vaikuntha planets. And here also, the purport Prabhupada uses the word, in the verse that we read, Prabhupada uses the word, he's more attracted to the higher transcendentals.
Yeah.
So, my understanding so far is that there's always been categories of transcendentalists, but here the verse states that all transcendentalists have been rendering devotional service unto Lord Krishna with great delight. So,
I think the meaning is all real transcendentalists. Like it's mentioned here that and we were mentioning, what is it?
higher transcendentalists?
Higher transcendentalists. The devotees are transcendentalists, not that the impersonalists are transcendentalists, the devotees are just devotees. So I think that's the meaning here. There's no conundrum or anything here, You know what a conundrum is?
I don't.
Can it also be stated that higher transcendentalists in this
Using
regard,
a difficult
since
problem.
it's mentioned Brajabhumi,
What?
since it's mentioned Brajabhumi, the higher transcendentalists mentioned here are the followers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because
I think you could say that. Anything else? Krishna Kripa can add.
This devotion to Krishna is so sweet that the other avatars, even though they're God and they can enjoy being God, they actually prefer to render service to Krishna, like Advaita Acharya Nityananda, though the God themselves, they prefer to be considered servants of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So they say that's where their real bliss lies. It's not. Whereas the Mayavadis, they think it's a big thing to be God, and the people who are actually God, they think it's better to render service to Krishna.
Yeah, it's a very important point. That all of the, that's an interesting point, Krishna and Baladev, because Balaram, he is the source of all the incarnations. So therefore, Heno meaning Nite by Radha Krishna Pahinai. Can I see the Vaishnav songbook?
What about? Okay, just raise your hand like that.
And in the Nectar Devotion, where the 64 qualities of Krishna are listed, what is it, the last 4 that are only there with Krishna and not even present in Vishnu? It's a
flute.
pastime,
Śrīla Prabhupada.
Lila Madhurya,
Lila
Veda Madhurya.
Venu Madhurya,
Say
Rupa
them,
Madhurya.
say them in English also.
His form is, he has a
Most
very
beautiful.
beautiful, most beautiful form. Venu Madhurya is flute, most beautiful. Lila Madhurya is, his pastimes are most beautiful. 4th?
The bhaktas, the devotees. The
It
devotees.
was how their sweet mood of love.
Yeah.
Prema Madhurya, his loving affection.
There's just a sidebar, because Lord Narayan is in the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, it explains this Swarupa, whatever his name was before. He saw Narayan's, and apparently sometimes Narayan plays a flute, but only sometimes.
Yeah, that's true. Like, in Tirupati,
Like for
they
sure.
have a decoration procession where there's a 4-armed form of Vishnu playing flute.
Wow, dude.
But, yeah. But the flute playing of Krishna is said to be Madhurya, which is
Yeah, more intense, more sweet.
like Krishna's death.
You see how Mahavishnu devised a ruse
Yeah.
by having the Brahmins' sons, one after the other, seemingly die.
Oh, I was gonna say.
And that the Brahmin came to Maharaj Yudhishthira saying, "What kind of king are you?
Right.
You know, that my children are dying like this,
Mhm.
stillborn like this, you know, you must be doing some sinful activity," and Arjuna just couldn't bear the fact that his brother was being defamed like that. So how did it work that Krishna
Then
said, "I'll take you up to,
Yeah, Krishna.
I'll solve the problem"?
Well, the thing was that Arjuna
Took
promised
a-
to solve the problem,
Oh,
or he would enter into fire, but
right.
he failed. So because Krishna didn't want him to enter into fire, it would really look bad if his pure devotee committed suicide. So he decided that he would solve the problem for him.
Arjuna like created like this whole like structure of arrows to make sure no one can enter
Right.
to take the soul. But like Mahavishnu takes the soul anyway.
To take what?
He takes the soul to the baby. Like,
The dead baby.
The dead baby. So then Krishna takes him.
And so all of this momentous, like really incredible stuff, and then when they finally get there, Mahavishnu says, "Oh, I just wanted to have your darshan."
Maharaj.
Yeah.
I was just reading in the fifth chapter of the Adilila, Lord Nityananda, all glories of Lord Nityananda Bhagavatam. In that one of the purports, Prabhupada comments that Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that in the Aham Sarvasya Prabhava verse, I am the source of everything. When Krishna says it also means that he's the source of all Narayan and all the other incarnations also.
The lotus feet of Lord Nityananda are a shelter where one will get the soothing moonlight of not only one, but of millions of moons. If this world, which is always progressing towards hell, Prabhupada says, another way this is translating, wants real peace, it should take shelter of Lord Nityananda. Unless one takes shelter under the shade of the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda, it will be very difficult for him to approach Radha and Krishna. If one actually wants to enter into the dancing party of Radha and Krishna, what Prabhupada says, that is purpose of this Krishna consciousness movement to enable everyone who participates seriously in this movement to enter into such party. He must firmly do what? Catch hold of the feet of Lord Nityananda. Anyone who has not established his relationship with Nityananda Prabhu. So this is first verse is what should be done. Now if you don't do that, so again, what is it? He is, Lord Balaram is the Prakash Vigraha. He's the first expansion of Krishna. So therefore, as Krishna Kripa was pointing out on those important chapters, Adi Leela's chapter 5 and 6, the glories of Lord Nityananda and Advaitacharya, the Adi Leela, that they are imbued with the mood of servitude. And they recommend that ecstasy to everyone. Anyone who has not established his relationship with Nityananda, and establishing such relationship means to give up one's false position as a so-called small letter L, Lord of this material world, and accepted gladly, happily, without any reservation, the position of servitude to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Just see such a great mystic yogi as Durvasa Muni. He could travel all over the universe in his self-same body in a very short amount of time, but he had to submit and was defeated by the, let's say, Maharaj Ambarish. He wasn't even trying as Durvasa Muni and all this, I'm going to create a fiery demon to chastise you and all this. And Maharaj Ambarish effortlessly, just simply depending on Krishna, was by far more powerful. So the servant of the Lord becomes practically non-different than the Lord in opulence and power, in fame, and all other opulences. And we read about the confidential glories of devotional service that Krishna gives himself to his pure devotees and is ultimately controlled by them. So one who has not approached Lord Nityananda and or approached the bona fide representative of Lord Nityananda, the spiritual master, is understood to have spoiled his valuable human birth. Such a human being is actually an uncontrollable animal, or another place, untamed animal. Anybody ever go to the zoo and see how they have the lion tamer or the wild animal, and the tamer comes in and do tricks, and come and, with their paw, with their nose, make the horn make a nice sound. And it's all very funny, and all the kids are clapping, and, So such a human being, he can't do that. He can't take his paw or his nose and make the horn ring. They can't even, properly take the association of the Sankirtan devotees. Such a human being is actually an untamed animal, because he never uttered the holy name of Nityananda. He has become merged into so-called material happiness. What good is his useless education and family tradition? How will it help him? One could look at Prabhupada's full purport for this for further what's the word I want to use?
Elucidation.
That's a good word.
Thanks to
Śrīla Prabhu, they're great.
Being maddened after false prestige and identification with the body, one is thinking, oh, who is Nityananda? What can he do for me? I don't care. The result is that he's accepting false to be truth. What is it?
Asatya.
So here, Narottam Das Thakur explains the proper procedure. If you actually want to approach the association of Radha and Krishna, you must first achieve the mercy of Lord Nityananda. When he is merciful toward you, then you will be able to approach Radha and Krishna. Therefore, you should firmly grasp the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda. So, most praiseworthy and highly exemplary and glorious to the supreme degree is the example of Raghunath Das Goswami, who ascended by the mercy of Lord Nityananda to the highest position in devotional service. Seemingly in the beginning, he was bound by his family members who were more or less trying to force him to remain in material life. And he was trying to get free from all of these impediments, and he was unsuccessful several times. And then Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says, then he considered something within his mind. So for a moment or two, you don't know what he's thinking. What was he thinking? What was he considering in his mind? Then Krishnadas Kaviraj reveals the next day he sought out an interview with Lord Nityananda. And he made his heartfelt appeal to Lord Nityananda that please free me from my material bondage. And what did Lord Nityananda order him to do? He ordered him to make a Sankirtan festival.
That's right.
Feed my associates chipped rice, yogurt, and bananas. And anyway, such a glorious thing. And then Lord Nityananda blessed him that you will become the most confident, you will be situated in the most inner confidential circle of Lord Chaitanya's intimate devotees. Rest assured of this. Will happen. So when the representative of Lord Nityananda, His Divine Grace, Śrīla Prabhupada, tells us to serve as he has directed, especially by preaching Krishna consciousness, by chanting the holy name and distributing books, his assurance, as is Krishna's assurance, a samsaya, you will come to me, there is no doubt, you will go back to Godhead. So this assurance of Śrīla Prabhupada, who was Nityananda's group, Shakti Tattva Avesh, the direct manifestation of Lord Nityananda's mercy and potency, then certainly we have a guaranteed assurance that we have absolutely no doubt in its perfection. Firmly grasp the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda. And Narottam Das Thakur encourages us, the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda are not illusion, they are a fact. One who engages in the transcendental loving service of Nityananda is also transcendental. Nityananda is eternal, and one who engages in the service of Lord Nityananda also becomes eternal. Always try to catch the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda. Narottam Das Thakur says that he is very unhappy. Therefore, I'm praying to Lord Nityananda to make me happy. My dear Lord, please keep me close at your lotus feet. So these are all very wonderful truths of utmost personalism. So we should worship Krishna and Balaram and understand ultimately the topmost position of Krishna, and be most desirous for the facility of intimate personal contact with the Lord in his transcendental pastimes at Brajabhumi. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Radharaj Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam
Ki Jai.
Prabhupada Ki Jai. Or
Hari Bol.